Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom from Jerusalem. I'm David Mencer from the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Prime Minister's office here in Jerusalem. I'll be taking a few questions after a couple of brief points to share with you today. Please put your questions in the chat of this Zoom together with your name and outlet, and we'll take your questions. Firstly, to our northern border with Lebanon. The terrorist organization of Hezbollah is in breach of the November 2024 ceasefire. I can confirm that Hezbollah are in breach of the November 2024 ceasefire. Indeed, since April the 17th this year, when the ceasefire with Iran came into being, under the direction of Iran, Hezbollah terrorists have fired more than 900 rockets and 1,300 UAVs and explosive drones towards both Israel and our forces operating in southern Lebanon. Now, this point rarely makes the news. Indeed, since the start of the current operation against Hezbollah, 24 IDF soldiers have fallen and one civilian has been killed. Today, Israel lost another precious life to one of Hezbollah's deadly drones which fell in our north. Sergeant Rotem Yanai was just 20 years old and from Givat Ada. The Prime Minister and Mrs. Netanyahu extended the nation's deepest condolences to the family of Sergeant Yanai. The Prime Minister praised her dedication, her sensitivity, and her endless care for her soldiers. He said that her spirit of giving will be inscribed in the hearts of all those who had the privilege of knowing her and serving alongside her. All of us here in Israel embrace Rotem's family and pray for the speedy recovery of those wounded in this incident. May her memory be a blessing. The Prime Minister confirmed that Israel is leading a massive national effort to advance creative and innovative solutions against the explosive drones. At the same Security Cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister confirmed that he had instructed the IDF to deepen our operation in Lebanon. Practically, that means a large number of our forces on the ground, seizing the dominant terrain and fortifying the security zone to protect the communities of Israel's north. Now, Hezbollah chose to enter this conflict as Iran's proxy and open fire towards Israel. Now it is paying a heavy price. Let me give you our latest figures. Since the October 7th attack on Israel, 8,000 Hezbollah terrorists have been eliminated. That is more than in the 2006 Second Lebanon War. Just over the last few weeks alone, our forces have eliminated more than 700 Hezbollah terrorists. Since the start of Operation Roaring Lion, we have eliminated 2,500 Hezbollah terrorists. Hezbollah have been massively degraded, together with their 150,000 missile arsenal, and ultimately it is this point, the massive success that Israel has had against this terrorist organization, that has enabled the government of Lebanon to step up to the plate and seek to disarm Hezbollah. I can also share with you today that a short while ago, Israel's Air Force made targeted strikes in Beirut. In the last 24 hours in Tyre, Israel's Air Force took out a Hezbollah terrorist cell as it departed to launch an attack, and the Air Force have released that footage. In addition to Tyre, more than 135 Hezbollah terror targets in the Bekaa Valley and southern Lebanon were also hit. Now, let me expound a little bit more on what has been a very busy 24 hours. 10 launch sites used by Hezbollah terrorists to fire rockets against our forces and citizens were targeted. Also, a Hezbollah training camp in Bir al-Tal area in the Bekaa Valley was also struck, command centers, and also weapons storage facilities. Overnight, Israel struck 15 Hezbollah sites used by terrorists to advance the terror plots in the Tyre area. Next to Gaza, I can share with you that the heads of the Central Hamas Funds Transfer Network in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, was eliminated. Ihab Chizrim was the terrorist who managed to transfer of millions of dollars to Hamas's military wing. He enabled Hamas to execute imminent terror attacks against our armed forces and our civilians. And in the same strike, another terrorist called Mohammed al-Habash, who was unit commander in Hamas's HQ, was also eliminated. This comes in addition to earlier in the week when another precision strike by the IDF successfully eliminated the terrorist Mohammed Uda inside Gaza. Uda was the head of the military wing of Hamas, and it comes less than 2 weeks after his predecessor, the former head of the Hamas military wing, was also eliminated. Now, Uda was among the last remaining senior commanders of Hamas who oversaw the planning and execution of the October 7th massacre. Now, you've heard me say before that the Prime Minister has made this commitment that after October the 7th, every single terrorist involved on that day and after that day that held our people as hostage, they will be hunted, they will be located, and they will be eliminated. Israel will reach every terrorist that took part in that murderous terror attack and every terror operative who continues to seek Israel's harm. That's the end of our briefing today. Please put your questions in the chat. I can see we've got a few here already, and I will take your questions. Okay, first question I have here is from Adam Parsons from Sky News. Adam Parsons from Sky News, you ask, there have been repeated reports of paramedics and emergency responders being killed in Lebanon. What safeguards are you putting in place to protect Lebanese medical personnel on the ground? Why are they not working? And what sort of investigations are you carrying out to determine why so many medical and emergency personnel have been killed? Thank you for that question, Adam. This is the playbook of jihadi terrorist organizations. They embed themselves in civilian areas and they seek to maximize the harm on their own people. Now, Israel is unique amongst armed forces that actually warns civilians to get out of harm's way. Over the last few days, you will have seen those warnings come from Israel's armed forces, and we deliver them in many ways. Thousands of telephone calls, leaflets being distributed, broadcasts on radio and on the internet, all asking for civilians to get out of harm's way so that we can target the terrorists. As in Gaza, as per the jihadi playbook, they deliberately try to maximize civilian casualties. Many times, claims of casualties amongst emergency workers have been proved to be false. Of course, where there are tragic circumstances, where emergency services have been hit or caught in the crossfire, that is a tragedy. But many times these reports are simply false. Adam, we are dealing with a terrorist jihadi organization that wants the death of its own people to win some sort of misguided PR campaign. It failed in Gaza. Sky, unfortunately, fell for it. We do not, and we say again, do not believe the lies shared with you by a terrorist organization. Next question is from Matthew Doran from ABC Australia. Given Israel's announcement last night that everyone in southern Lebanon should evacuate north to the Zerani River and its expansion of ground operations in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah, does Israel still consider the ceasefire announced by the US president in April to be in force in Lebanon? Thank you very much. There's another question here. And if Israel does not consider it to be still in force, can you please explain how it is that the case the case given by intensifying the fighting? Matthew Doran of ABC News. Hezbollah is in breach of the ceasefire. As I started off this briefing, I shared with you precisely how they are in breach of this ceasefire. Since April the 17th, when the ceasefire with Iran first came into place, Iran have been directing Hezbollah terrorists to fire more than 900 rockets at Israel and our armed forces, into Israel's sovereign territory and into our security zone. Together with those 900 rockets, 1,300 UAVs. Iran and their proxy Hezbollah are in breach of the ceasefire. Not Israel, Iran are in breach of the ceasefire. Please do not fall for the propaganda shared with you by this terrorist organization. We're fighting this terrorist organization. We will defeat this terrorist organization, and our actions are enabling the government of Lebanon, who are the rightful representatives of the Lebanese people, to be able to work together with Israel to establish a peace agreement between our two countries, because we have massively weakened Hezbollah, and that has enabled the government of Lebanon to come to the peace table. Our next question here is from Francesca Cisardi from the Spanish newspaper. Could Israel operations in Lebanon undermine the ongoing negotiations between the US and Iran for a broader deal in the Middle East? Thank you for that question, Francesca. Israel has a responsibility to its people to defend its northern border. My fellow countrymen here in Israel that live in our north are facing this Hezbollah terrorist onslaught for years now, and we will not allow the Hezbollah terrorist organization to violate the ceasefire in Lebanon, and we will and we are responding with force to all of these violations. That's what any decent country would do. Make no mistake, Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran. Iran have directed this terrorist organization to increase their fire against us. But the IDF are attacking and destroying Hezbollah's terrorist targets, including terrorists themselves, their command centers, their weapon storage facilities, their launchers, their lookout points, their underground infrastructure, their tunnels, their terror tunnels. I can share with you, just as I did earlier in this briefing, but over the last few days, the IDF has attacked hundreds of Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure sites around Lebanon. We always warn civilians to get out of harm's way, because Hezbollah are an organization which seeks to usurp the power of Lebanon. It seeks to take over Lebanon. And that is why we are actually on the same page, on the same side of the equation, together with Israel, together with the government of Lebanon, and we are weakening this terrorist organization. Next question is from Amir Nada from BBC News. What is Israel's goal for the new campaign in Lebanon, occupying all of the south? How will that contribute to stopping attacks and dismantling Hezbollah? Thank you for that question, Amir. I would simply ask you to imagine what would happen if 900 rockets were fired from France into the UK. What would the UK do? What would the UK do if 1,300 UAVs, deadly one-way drones designed to kill, were fired from another country into our own country? Our responsibility, our duty is to defend our people, and that is precisely what we are doing, while at the same time keeping civilians out of harm's way. And I say again that our effort against this terrorist organization is enabling the government of Lebanon to be able to eject this terrorist and disarm this terrorist organization. Further question from Miguel Flores from Spain's national agency, national news agency, EFE. Can you name the target of today's strike on Beirut's southern suburbs? That information has not been released yet. I haven't got any further information to share with you. But as I mentioned to you just a little bit earlier, I can confirm that Israel's Air Force did, in a short while ago, attack Hezbollah targets in Beirut. Let me just paint this out for you a little bit clearer. Hezbollah personnel, their leaders, are hiding amongst the civilian population in Beirut. That's precisely what they're doing. Israel is telling the Hezbollah leaders, your hiding place amongst the civilians of Beirut will not work. It will not work. Next question, follow-up question from Matthew Doyle from ABC Australia. Aside from which party is in breach of the ceasefire in Lebanon, and noting Israel's insistence Hezbollah is in breach, my question is specifically whether Israel believes the ceasefire to be in force from this point, or does the increase in fighting mean the ceasefire is now null and void? Matthew, this is one of those questions that I think journalists get a little bit obsessed with. I've told you how the ceasefire is being breached by a terrorist organization. Our responsibility, and this has been discussed by President Trump, he has shared this truth that Israel has a duty to defend its own citizens. Now, I will say that when it comes to Lebanon, we have a unique opportunity to promote a historic agreement with Lebanon. We are continuing the negotiations with Lebanon, and they're taking place, these talks in Washington, D.C., being mediated by the US. And the goal of these talks is to disarm the Hezbollah terrorist organization and reach a peace agreement that will strengthen security and stability in our region and promote prosperity and peace. Our accomplishments against Hezbollah are enabling this peace deal to happen. Okay, that looks like the last question. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll have another briefing over the next few days, and we'll keep you updated on that fact. In the meantime, you can continue to submit your questions in the usual way, and we'll see you next time. Please do stay safe, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.